Welcome to episode 5 of Model Airport Reviews, the series in which I review your model airports. In today's video, I will review 12 of your airports, 3 of which will progress to the grand finale episode. One of them is chosen by me, and the other 2 are chosen by you by leaving a comment down below. Let's get started. The first airport of today is Grantley Adams International Airport in Bridgetown, the Barbados Islands. It's a 1:200 scale airport and an exact replica of the airport in Bridgetown. Something he has done really cleverly, cost effectively buying new models. These models are actually snap-fit models, and not 1:200 scale models with the full details and landing gear. A snap-fit model like this Air Canada Boeing 787 Dreamliner costs €28. And then even though it doesn't have any landing gear, it is a nice and really big model. At the airport around all of the aircraft looks decent. A nice ATC tower which is partially built out of Legos. The terminal with the windows and interior which I think is also printed. And all of the markings on the ground like the taxiway lines he has made himself. Another cool detail are the taxiway signs here that he made using cardboard. Looking at the green modeling grass here, I think you can stick it down even neater. And around the taxiway lines he added some weathering, using a pencil. Try using a little damp finger, rubbing the pencil markings out with your finger, which will make it look even better. Here is West Vancouver Airport in Vancouver, Canada. A tiny model airport featuring a short runway and 4 aircraft stands. And with the limited space he has, I think he has done a decent job. The modeling grass is quite large but looks okay, and the ground markings look great. This is what I meant with using a damp finger and spreading the pencil. You already have some quite nice looking models on your airport. But I think if you add a few more and add some ground service equipment around it, it will look even more realistic. If you're looking for cheap GSE, this user commented a very helpful comment on the previous video, referring to this eBay store. Here they have 3D printed ground service equipment for very affordable prices in both the 1:5 and 400 scales. 60 passengers for €10 or a whole GSE set, of which the large one, as you can see on the picture, costs only €35, which in comparison to ground service equipment from Herpa Wings or Gemini Jets is way more affordable. This is not sponsored and I did not have any contact with Tradewings, but I will put a link in the description because I think it's very helpful and budget-friendly ground service equipment. The next airport is Torp International Airport in Sandefjord, Norway. A grand finalist from previous season and a great contender to be a grand finalist this season again. The airport features a runway with a taxiway next to it and then a military section, cargo section and a terminal with some remote stands for narrow-body aircraft. And in the middle also a general aviation section. Let's take a closer look. The military section is absolutely fantastic. Thanks to all of the scenery with the trees around it, the grass with the tiny grass tufts, and all of the ground service equipment around all of the military aircraft. Moving on to the cargo section then, we still see a part of the military section where he has bunkers for his fighter jets. The cargo section once again features a lot of ground service equipment vehicles driving around all of the aircraft. What I also find cool is the Turkish Airlines still being transported by the Beluga. And what really adds extra depth to this image is the background that he added to his airport, which simply is a blue sky with some green on the bottom. And finally, looking at the main terminal, it once again looks fantastic. A fun fact about the airport is that it's almost completely homemade. The only thing he really needed to buy were the ground service equipment pieces that cost him about €100 total. And of course all of the models. Most of the scenery and modeling grass I believe he bought on either AliExpress or Temu, which have really affordable options. And finally, at night, the terminal beautifully lights up, as the floodlights actually work. Overall, a fantastic looking model airport. Definitely earning the most realistic badge in my opinion. Moving on, we go to the USA where we have St. Jacobs International Airport in Old Bridge, New Jersey. And I really like the way he leveled up the Gemini Jet's airport mat. He added his own modeling grass, a windsock, and he added a bunch of GSE and his own terminals. Let's take a closer look. The airport consists of a load of ground service equipment, including ground personnel and airport cones. The detail on the terminal looks really nice as well, and I like that he added some light poles. He has also got a very good variety of models in his collection. This baseball livery gel A350 and also this very nice looking Virgin Atlantic A340. And another A340 from Cathay Pacific, where on this picture once again is shown how much detail he put in the ground service equipment. All in all, I really like the way he upgraded the Gemini Jet's airport mat. And this is exactly what I mean with giving your own twist to pre-built products. I therefore give this airport the badge Most Creative. Here is El Dorado International Airport in Bogota, Colombia. An airport fully made out of paper, including the aircraft models. This is probably the cheapest way to build a model airport, using DIY kits to build your own. On the website of littlemodelairport.com, you can find a bunch of models that you can fold yourself. When we for example take a closer look at the 747 family, we see that there are so many options, and when we click on for example the British Airways Oneworld livery, he has the 124 and 500 scale coming in a foldable kit. It does take some patience to build such a model, but in the end, it is the most cost-effective option and it looks decent. Next we take a look at Europe Air Force Base in Bavaria, Germany. It's a 1:72 scale airport, and therefore the figures and airplanes can be very detailed as they are much bigger. It's not often that we see military dioramas, but I think he has done a very cool job at building one. The models he built himself out of a Revell or comparable airplane kit, which does take some time, patience and work, but it pays off in the end and it's not incredibly expensive. I find this image really cool with all of the details around it. The pilot is boarding the aircraft whilst refueling is going on in the background. The weapons are being loaded, and also the scenery with the trees in the background looks neat. All in all, a really detailed and unique military Air Force base, and definitely an inspiration for military aviation enthusiasts. Moving on to the Netherlands, we have Maastricht International Airport, which is a very colorful 1:500 scale airport. The airport has space for only 5 models, 3 wide bodies and 2 narrow bodies. And whilst on the airport side of things he has done a great job, that's not the thing I want to point out about this airport. Because when we go to the background, we see first a nicely, I think paper folded airport terminal, but he has created a very colorful land side of his airport. Using a bunch of scenery, it really gives a cozy, colorful look, with actual passengers waiting to be picked up from the airport, and he has got 2 heliports in between these colorful bushes and grass tufts. All in all, a very nice looking colorful model airport. This is Virginia Beach International Airport in Virginia Beach, the USA. A 1:400 scale model airport, which once again has some nice scenery with grass tufts, trees, some colorful red flowers and a windsock on the right of the screen. In terms of scenery, you have done a nice job. Though I would like to give you advice on the ground markings. First of all, be sure to use a ruler when drawing the taxiway lines and the outlines. And the same goes for all of the runway markings. Also, next to all of the yellow markings and the road, an airport has way more markings. A good way to get an idea of all of these markings is using Google Earth. You open Google Earth and you simply zoom into any airport you'd like to get inspiration from. Let's go to Miami. Then we can take both a look at the runway, where you can get an idea of all of the markings, but when we then go to the terminal area, we see that there are much more markings than only the yellow ones. Here you can see a red line dividing the airport ramp into the aircraft stand and taxiway sites. This query line shows an area where you cannot walk if the aircraft engines are running. On this red indicated area you cannot park any ground service equipment, and like so you can get an idea for your own airport markings. Next we go to Greenwood Airport. in the fictional city of Gold Town. This airport is an old friend of the series, and it's really nice to see how he has improved his airport over time. As taking a look at this submission from the previous season, we see that he didn't have any modeling grass nor a road for all of the ground service equipment on his airport. This he has very nicely added. He's built everything on this airport himself except for the terminal that he bought from Gemini Jets. He's got a nice variety of aircraft on his airport. And I like the lineup of these colorful Archaea airplanes. But overall, I don't have much advice to give to you, except for the fact that it's a very complete and nice looking new airport. Here is London Reading International Airport in London, the UK, of course. And it's a pretty big model airport, I think. And what I'm really curious about is the airport planning behind this. As on the sides, he has got parking space and terminals, and in the center he has got huge modeling grass. Or at least some grass powder with some grass tufts. I think in the space he has available he could have fitted so many more models. If you plan the layout of the airport a bit differently. For example, multiple parallel terminals with parking spaces on each side of the terminal. I do like all of the detail in the ground markings and that he added some runway lights here using paint markers. But all in all, I am really curious to know how you planned this model airport. And the final airport of today is Locarno Bellizona Airport in Locarno, Switzerland. It's an airport in a unique location in the Swiss Alps. And therefore he has a nice Swiss collection on his airport. With this very colorful, nice looking Airbus A220. His airport looks very nice. I like that he added some advertising and branding on his airport. On the roof of the terminal he has got some rental car advertisements, which are also on all of the jet bridges. This bus stop looks very nice with the arrival sign and the colorful trees on the right side. Around all of the aircraft is ground service equipment from Gemini Jets, which is also where all of the jet bridges are from. A nice detail is that he added a docking system to the airport. Here hangs a screen where the pilot can see how many meters more he has to taxi into the stand before it is at its correct parking spot. And overall I think it's a very neat looking model airport and in my opinion also grand finale worthy, so be sure to comment that down below. And with Locarno reviewed, that brings us to the end of this episode, where the level of realism on the model airports was incredibly high. We had so many grand finale worthy airports that it's really hard for you to choose two. My pick to progress to the grand finale is Torp International Airport. Now it's your job to choose two more and comment those names down below in the comment section. Winners will be announced on Instagram. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end of this episode. Please consider to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and then I will see you in the next video.